ClayFighter is a 1994 fighting game developed by Visual Concepts and published by Interplay, and this is my review of the game over 3 decades later, via the Evercade port. So, what made this game stand out at the time, and even to this day, was the use of claymation to animate all of the characters, which is a really cool and creative idea, and a pretty rare use for claymation, as I literally cannot think of another game series that I know has used this technique, and I'd say it worked out pretty well with this game's cast of 8 playable characters, all of which I did try, and the only one I really liked was Bad Mr. Frosty, with Bonker or Icky Bog Clay being my second favorite. I do feel like Bad Mr. Frosty was supposed to kind of be the main and best character of this game, as he's on the cover of every game in the series, and the character select always starts at him whenever you boot up the game. And speaking of the character select, it provides simple bios about each Clay fighter, which was a nice little touch. Anyways, after you select your character on solo, you're brought to this game's only single player mode, the arcade mode, where you have 12 battles that are always in the same order every time you play, and the arcade mode can be played on 3 difficulties. Now, I must say that the final boss you face at the end of the arcade mode, he's a joke in my opinion, and I did not struggle with him. Like, at all. But the last few fights leading up to him are rather challenging, and after you beat the final boss, the credits roll and that's it. No little info blurb or cutscene about what happened to your character, just credits. And the only story is told in the opening cinematic, in which you learn that the characters are fighting to become king of the carnival. Not the best story out there, but hey, it's a fighting game. Nobody plays these for the story. What about the gameplay? Is it any good? Well, by today's standards, from a younger gamer, it is a little clunky at first, but you do get used to it. Now, this game doesn't have any sort of a practice mode or much of a moves list, but you can get by just knowing the basic moves and how to do a ranged attack, which could be a little iffy at times, and this game did get pretty creative with range moves. Like one character, the Blob, he spits on his enemies, while Mr. Frosty launches his fist at his opponent and then just regrows his hand. A bit more about the hand-to-hand fighting, you have light, medium, and heavy punches and kicks, and also special moves, like Frosty curling up into a ball and rolling into his fellow combatant, and you do receive a score for how well you do in a fight. But if you lose a match and you have to redo it, you lose all your accumulated points, although you thankfully have infinite lives. Also, ClayFighter does not have a traditional timer showing how many seconds are left in a match, but instead has a lit fuse burning down to a bomb, which was certainly a cool idea. Now, during fights, you can sometimes stun your opponents, and there's also something that I call KO mode, in which you or your opponent seem to be granted hyper damage after losing enough HP, but I'm not really sure how this worked or how to trigger it, but you'd see the letters KO above you or your foe and know that it was active. I think the last thing to mention about duking it out on ClayFighter is that it's surprisingly easy to get a double knockout, in which you and your enemy deal a knockout blow to each other at the exact same time, and the first person to win 2 rounds of a fight wins. And that is the bulk of this game in a nutshell gameplay-wise. Now, this title does offer local versus, but I only have one controller, so no comment there. Graphics-wise, ClayFighter has a pretty cool art style, with some really good arena backgrounds, and this title has some great music, and even limited voice acting, which helped add some personality to this game. All in all, I think to give this retro fighter a 7.4 out of 10 by my grade scale. It's not the best fighting game out there, and I can beat the arcade mode in under half an hour, so this isn't something that I would play all day, but it's fun to pick up for a little bit. That said, I probably would have been more disappointed if I got this standalone game at full price back in the day, but as part of the Interplay Collection 1 cart, it is definitely worth checking out. And while Earthworm Jim was the main reason I bought this collection, ClayFighter was the second main reason that I picked this game up. As far as similar video games that I could recommend, maybe Sonic the Fighters, you might like that one. And my review of that game will be in the end cards if you want to check it out. And that's all from me for today, folks. A shorter vid, I know, but hey, sometimes short vids are good. For those new here, I mostly review and discuss Xbox 360 games, with sometimes other topics like today, so do feel free to check out some of my other vids if that sounds interesting. And follow me over on GameRam for hints at upcoming vids and behind the scenes stuff. As for our Bible verse of the day, I read Proverbs 11:21 NIV. Be sure of this, the wicked will not go unpunished, but those who are righteous will go free. And like always, none of my content is ever made by fake intelligence, and I do not give permission for my voice and likeness to be copied and modified by robots in any way. Keep YouTube human and only support man-made vids. Alrighty, thanks a lot for watching and for putting up with my bad narrations. God bless, take it easy, peace. And that is the bulk of this game in a nutshell gameplay-wise. Now, and the only one I really liked was Bad Mr. Frosty, with Bonker or Icky Bog